Okay, now that we have our add person, what I'd like to do is test it. Chances are there's going to be one or two errors in here. So hopefully if I can use it, it should post some details into a database, but I need to capture those details from a user. Now, I do apologise, in the last video I just used a variable called result, this one here, and I just stole that from another file because I was unsure whether we had an @ symbol on the front of the MySQL query. So I went to another file and I just stole the code. And I've also got code for the HTML, but I'm going to actually build it from scratch just to give you some practice. I don't want to keep taking code from other files if I can avoid it, otherwise you'll sort of get lost as to where this information's come from. However, that one line of code is fine, and it might need an @ symbol on, I don't know yet. So we are going to create a new file. We're going to have a HTML file, so I'm going to save it as, now I've called this one add person, so I'm going to say test add person.html. Okay, and I'm going to build my HTML. So first of all, we need to tell it that we're using the correct type of HTML. Dot type HTML, and I'm going to build it so it's also mobile friendly. So it's a web page. So let's just set this up: HTML and HTML. Inside there, we got a head and end head, so how to quickly build a template if you do things correctly. And we got the body and the end body. Inside the head we are going to have a title for the page, and in the body we're just going to have a form. We'll fill in the details later. So there's a quick template. The title is going to be testing add person. Also in the head we're going to have the mobile friendly stuff, so we're going to need not a meet tag, a meta tag, and we're going to set some parameters in the meta tags. In fact, we're going to have two of them, one to set up the user friendliness and one to set the character set that we're using. So in this one we got the name equals, it's the viewport, and we got the content, content equals. Now the content is going to be the width of the screen is going to be, let's think what it was, it's the device width, and we are also going to set the scale, initial scale to be full size, and we are going to set that the fact that the user cannot change the scale. Right, hopefully I made no mistakes in any of that. That should be fine. And the meta tag underneath means that we need a char set equals UTF-8, okay, which will it's useful to set because the database should be in UTF-8 with that character set. So now we just need to play around with the form. We've got two things to set in here. The first one is the action, and if you remember or new to it, it's going to be the file that we created. It's going to send it to there. We need a method as well, and the method that we're using is the post method. And we don't use that, it's going to fail miserably. So all we got to do now is add the fields. So the fields, we need field name to begin with. So what we've got, we're not going to bother with the ID, person ID, but we are going to bother with the first name, the last name, and the birth year. So first name, last name, year of birth. SB Rebels. Okay, so that's going to appear on the screen. What we need to do now is tell it that we need a field to go along with that. So what we need is an input field, and inside that we need to say that the type is going to be text, and we need to specify what the name is. Now the name is important because that is the value that is passed in the body, and if you go back to add person, what we had here was post first name, post last name, post birth year. These three must match. So that one is first name. Okay, and we're going to have that on a separate line, so I'm just going to have a break tag, and let's get into copying and pasting. Input type equals text, so this one is going to be last name. If I paste that one there, this one is going to be birth year. So these need to match the data or the variables in the add person. This is where if we get this wrong, first name, last name, birth year, maybe we spelt it wrong in our coding, this part of the checking is going to trigger. So we'll get oh, you made a coding mistake, so you need to come back and fix whatever the variable was in here. And the one thing that we need now is a method to actually send it. So I'm going to sort of have a bit of a space on the form, and I'm going to have a submit button. So that is just straightforward. Input type equals submit. We don't need a name, although sometimes we include a name, but that should be good enough to give us a button if we close off the angle brackets, and that is our testing program. So if I save that, in the next video we'll run it and we'll see what happens. Hopefully something will get put in the database. Chances are it won't.